Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Spurs review. The same show, different channel. Kuva's very, very confused by it all, but it is my channel, Kuva.
No. Look, it says He TV here, and it's me in the middle. It was good. Oh, come on, you ruined it, Sean. Go away.
Yeah, Sean's come here to bring some context and also to get some even numbers in here. Big up to everyone. Pete, how are you, mate? You well?
I'm good, mate. How you doing? I like the
Too
reset.
bad.
Have you done a big reset? Have you gone for the big reset?
I'm doing what Spurs should be doing, and I've gone for a master reset. Yeah, the only problem is
it rebuild or is it a reset?
I've reset the back office, but I've still got my same old players like you lot that I need to slowly but surely sell off to other clubs and getting some new
people.
Celebration
stream, isn't it? You're gonna have about 3 days without renaming the channel.
Yeah. Oh, meow. Well, just for that, I'm not even going to ask if you're all right. I don't care, Kuva. Sean, how you doing, mate? You all right?
All right, mate. Yeah, all right. Not bad. Got a bit of heartburn, actually.
That's not good.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a. I don't know whether my diet's not good, but over the last month, I've had heartburn every day, and it's a real worry. You know?
Oh, yeah. Your diet will do that. So just make sure you look after yourself, mate. And I'll tell you what will make it all better is if we talk about Tottenham Hotspur. Everybody in the chat, please smash the like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe to all the people on the show as well, and help me get to 4K. Once we get to 4K, we'll do a couple of big giveaways. I'll decide what that will be in the next couple of weeks as we get closer to it. Where to start, guys? Jesus, this football club is a circus, right? I'm going to start with that. We can't just have a draw like any normal team. We can't have a draw and then everyone goes to bed and you go, oh, rubbish result. We'll wake up in the morning. It has to come with some sort of media circus. It has to come with some press conference. The fans all fighting each other. Pete, let me start with you. Antonio Conte did what Antonio Conte did yesterday. There's lots of theories I'm seeing flying around. People saying, well done, you've called out the board. Other people saying, well, hang on, it wasn't about the board, it was about the players. Some people, and I'm in this camp, saying, well, hang on, for me, I think he's just completely deflecting from the shambolic job that he's been doing lately against poor teams. What do you make of all of this? Before we go too deep into what he actually said, what do you make of it?
A few things. One, I think he's definitely deflecting because none of what he said does he take any blame himself for what's going on. Two, everything he said was 100% correct. I will say that. But his performance at this club does not warrant him entitled to say that. That's for us fans to say that because we've suffered for the 20 years. Yeah, a lot of this about all the players and all that. Quite a number of these players have come in under his watch. So clearly there's a problem with him. And I think he's just strategically chose this week because this makes perfect sense to sack him. So he's tried a few times before to sort of get the bullet with some of the stuff he said. And it seems like last night he thought, well, this is it or nothing. I'm going to go out. And if they don't sack me for this now, then I'm never getting out early. That was my take on it because we could have done that at Wolves and gone out and gone ape shit. But nothing. Yeah. This week, everyone said, well, if anything going to happen, it's going to be this week because there's a national break. And then out he comes with all that.
Is that what you meant by perfect timing? And he's chosen this timing because the international breaks come up, right? Yeah. Okay. I mean, Kuva, look, as we said at the beginning, circus. Look, he's come out. We know he's volatile. He's come out with lots of different comments now. Sometimes he's got great defenders. Next thing we know, he's asking for defenders. Sometimes he's happy with his squad. Then he's not. He's telling us he's not here just for fourth. Then a year later tells us we've got to curb our expectations. Now he's coming out with the last 20 years and the players are selfish. Where are you at with all of this? Big up, David Harris.
Big up, David. To be honest, mate, I don't read much into it anymore. It's we've constantly got a press that's always looking for the sensationalism in the stories. So they'll pick and cut their own little bits of any quote to make it suit the narrative, stir up emotions, sell papers, get clicks, whatever. We've seen it time and time again. I think it's getting worse as the time goes on. Now Conte's here, it's like there's an expectation of controversy and outspoken views on the club. So it all gets cut to ribbons. You see one thing and it means one context, but look at the whole quote. It doesn't mean quite the same thing. I think Sean was touching on this earlier on the stream earlier. I just don't buy into any of this shit anymore. It's a case of, it used to be a case of wait until they get the shirt on when we're talking about signings. I think now with managers, wait until you see them at the airport with a suitcase. Although in Conte's case, he might just be going home for a bit of recuperation for a few weeks.
Yeah, he's got hand luggage, mate. He don't live over it.
It just fits the club too well. I think the press have done a great job of tailoring it to stir up emotions and get people talking about it. In that respect, I'd say fair play, because I'm hoping for a bit of a meltdown and things changing because of it. So if it takes that blatant lies or creative bit of editing to make the story what it actually isn't, so be it. But just looking at face value, it just doesn't matter anymore to me.
No, I understood. I mean, Sean obviously jumped on a show with you earlier, and you had I don't want to say a different take on this. I've seen some sensational headlines, right, from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, of people just reading into what he said, into what they want it to mean, rather than what was actually said. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it's just that, mate. And also, I agree with basically kind of both of what Kuva and Pete are saying. I think that what he said, generally speaking, he's right about. But I don't think that it's going to do him any favors if his intention of saying what he said about the players was to try and get a lift out of them. I don't believe that the stick is always the right way to go, and if it is, it doesn't last long. And I think that he's just a very emotional guy and very volatile. But I don't think he takes enough criticism on. I don't think he takes criticism well himself. I don't think he ever acknowledges his own the criticism that's thrown at him, or puts his hand up as enough as he should. I don't like the language being about they rather than we or I. It's not inclusive and it's non kind of collaborative. But I don't actually disagree with most of the stuff he said. But I just think that after him saying it the way he said it, I don't think that there's any future for him at Tottenham. I think that it is the last kind of dance, going down swinging. And I don't think that he can really, I don't think the players aren't going to play for him after that. If the players weren't playing for him before, they're not going to play for him after that,
Yeah, I mean, look, I want to come on to that in a minute, David. Before we talk about whether or not it's untenable, his position now because of what he said about the players. What did you read into it from the comments? Because so many people are saying yes, he's had a go at the board, and other people are going no.
He hasn't.
This is about the players. How did you read that, David?
Look, I think he had a slight pop at both, if you want me to be brutally honest. I actually agree with everything he said. First of all, I think he's absolutely spot on. I actually think he sort of said a lot of what fans are feeling and sharing some of the frustrations. No one can tell me they looked at that game yesterday when we were out of possession and said them players were playing for the badge like they're paid to do. I think he's absolutely spot on. Look, it basically reads sack me. I mean, from what my understanding is that he didn't actually have to give that. There was fuck all reporters around. He left it to later on in the after the game to do it. And he wasn't actually really pressed too hard either. They didn't even have to press him too much for him to go off. I think it was very, very calculated, especially with the international break coming up. It basically reads, I can't do this anymore. It's, I've given up. The players have given up. Sack me. Let me go back to Italy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, look, I want to move on to Pete. Look, what he said, right? Let's forget anything about the board at the moment. Let's talk about from the player perspective of what he said. And he has come out and said, and not word for word, but might not be the exact quote. Basically, my players are selfish. I have selfish players. Is there any scenario, Pete, in which that galvanizes players? Do they go, oh my God, we've got to sort this out? Or is that the ultimate, like some would say, is that the ultimate parting shot and the trust is now gone?
Yeah, 100%. That's fait accompli for me. I think he's a bit, as I said, I don't think he's got much self-awareness really, because I think the most selfish person I've seen so far this season is him, because he won't try anything different. Everything's got to be his way. When you've clearly got players that look like they want to do something different and not buying into what he's trying to get them to do, and bored of it. We're bored of it as fans. The players must be bored of it. So I think he's ultra selfish. Why everything's all about him all the time. It's never about him when it's going wrong. It's all about him when it's going well. And I think from a player's point of view, I think the players give up a long time ago. They're seeing lesser teams sort of and who they're playing against. Play them off the park week in, week out. Yeah, lesser, and they're like, well, why can't we play like that? We've got better players. But no, because we've got to do it Conte's way. If I was a player in that team, that's how I'd be feeling. I'd be like, look how these teams are playing against us. Lesser teams who we normally steamroll, and now we can't get the ball off them half the time. And I think that's just been that situation is getting worse week after week. So I think he's really, for me, that is the ultimate, sack me card, because now the players are basically entitled to go on strike now because we might as well publicly. That's it. There's no relationship there anymore, isn't it? It's gone.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Loves Music's coming with a super chat and said, if we can't defend, our front three should bury teams. We're going to talk about this a bit later, because obviously I know there'll be slight differences in this panel as to the way we play and who is that on. But sticking with the whole Conte outburst at the moment, Kuva, is there good that can come for this? Because I said loads of people have been calling me out, right? Loads of people have been calling me out as though I said this. It's ridiculous, right? People saying, oh, you wanted him to call out the board. Now he's done it. You're not backing him. But the way I've said this to people today, Kuva, is for this to mean anything to me, if this truly is a rant at the owners, and if this truly is how he feels about the club in general, for me, walk away. Yeah? When you walk away, then we go, right, something's not right here. But at the moment, I just feel that it's a lot of words in a press conference again, and I don't feel he's really called out. I don't know what he's meant to have called the owners out for at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it was interesting, just that one part of it, wasn't it, when he did specifically say about 20 years with the owners here.
Yeah.
You can't say that's talking about the players, can you? Because none of these players have been here for 20 years.
So feels right.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's about as Eric Dyer's reaction time to a cross, isn't it?
20 years.
Yeah.
David loves Eric Dyer. He absolutely loves him. You can see it in his face.
Yeah,
He
right.
loves Eric Dyer.
I want to make sure that on tonight's show we at least discuss how bad Christian Romero was yesterday, the Rolls-Royce defender, because he was shit as well.
Yeah, well, okay. I think he's been crap for a long time, by the way. I think he's been really crap for a long time.
Very easy to always go straight back to Eric Dyer and Ben Davies and Longley, whatever, but Christian Romero is supposed to be our saving grace at the back. He's been rubbish recently.
Mm-hmm. We
Sorry,
will come on to that. We'll come on to that. Go on, Cooper. We will come on to it.
Team collective, isn't it? I mean, you fail as a unit, don't you? I think overall the whole situation at the moment, I don't really see a lot happening with it. We're sitting in the top four. That is the remit of the club, isn't it? Make sure we secure that. As long as the manager does that, he's doing his job for the chairman. So I don't see any panic, getting rid of managers purely because we are in that top four. If we're sitting in sixth or something and we're 7 or 8 points adrift of fourth place, different story then. But I think it's just too comfortable to change. What's the alternative? Bring in, hope for a new manager bounce with the same amount of players that are getting criticism from everywhere. Not going to make any real difference. You're not going to change the style of football overnight either. You might see a little bit more of an intent to do things, but it's going to be messy for a while. I think anybody implementing a new system is going to take a long time. So I think we're stuck with what we got to the end of the season. What effect is it really going to have in the long term? Because we're having this discussion on the how you take the quotes. If you take the entire quote, the context is a different meaning. Levy will know that. Conte will know that. I'm sure they don't have any problems. If that had caused a huge problem, like the press or the media, social media will have you believe, he would have been fired on that evening, wouldn't he? there's no way they'd tolerate it.
Well, but apparently he apologized. Apparently he cleared the air with the owners and said it wasn't about you, it was about the players.
Yeah, that's what Ali Gold put out, didn't he, today?
Yeah.
So not an issue then, really, is it for me? I think a lot of it's always going to get sensationalism is sort of the key thing, isn't it, for everything online?
It is, but I mean, Sean, let's look at that then. If he has gone and cleared the air, for lack of a better phrase, with the owners today and said, look, it wasn't about you, it was purely aimed at the players. Like Pete was saying, what does that mean now moving forwards? How does he go back into training when these players come back from international duty? What, you know what I mean? Forget how good or bad we think certain players are. Can you publicly call out your players and call them all selfish? Can you really do that and get away with it?
Selfish and weak-minded. It was after the what was the game before? Was it the Wolves game when he called them all weak-minded, or the Nottingham Forest, the one before that, Sheffield United game? I forget which game it was. He called out the defence, or it was the Leicester game, wasn't it? Sorry, the Leicester game. Yeah, look, he's got after a bit of a string of ad hominem attacks a little bit about the players' characteristics, not their talent, but their mental attributes, which, I think the players aren't going to take them very well. If the players haven't been playing for him, if we all think the players have sort of down tools a little bit or not been playing for him over recent weeks, then I don't think it ends well in terms of the players getting up for the last 10 games of the season. What I would say, Sav, is, do you remember during the week, you and I were doing a show on your channel, and we were talking about the kind of the summer of discontent that's ahead, with all of the sort of Damocles hanging over Paratici's head, and then you've got the chicken and the egg situation with Kane, his future not being sorted until Conte's sorted. Conte's not sorted until Kane's sorted. Then you've got the 8 returning loanees. If you've got a new manager, does he want any of those 8 players? Because if Conte's still here, probably not. But all of that stuff is going to kick the can down the road for when Tottenham can actually finally get around to doing the business that they need to do. And all that stuff has to happen first. Maybe, just maybe, this is happening yesterday is the catalyst for at least one of those chicken and the eggs to get sorted before the end of the season. And it might end up making the summer a little bit less backlogged with other hindrances, other unresolved issues that can get out of the way sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, let me ask you about that. Basically, Sean and I were yesterday on a show, or Friday, sorry. And what we were talking about was the problem that Tottenham Hotspur have got with this whole, we'll talk in the summer about the contract, is it puts us in a position where the last day of the season, which was it late 28th? 28th
May 28th, really late.
Transfer window opens, 1st of June or whatever it may be. I believe it's June or whatever. Yeah. Every other club, it will appear, will be going into that knowing who the manager is, what players they want, what their philosophy is, what tactics, which players coming back on loan that this manager wants to sell, whatever. At the moment, we're going to have this dance, this merry-go-round where it's, right, the summer's here now. Does Conte want a holiday? Then he comes back. Then we sit down and talk. So either way, 2 or 3 weeks of negotiations, you would imagine, because this is Daniel Levy and Conte. I can't imagine that either of them just have a nice, smooth conversation. We could be a month into the summer, David, and we don't even know. We might have to have a brand new manager after that month. Conte been there a month, and then we get going. Something's got to give between now and the end of the season, hasn't it, mate? It can't go on like this, can it?
Look, even if you didn't say what you said last night and you went plain sailing into the end of the season, you're still going to have that anyway. I forewarned everybody. Forewarned everyone this was coming. I told people this was coming. Kane's future's up in the air every single summer we go into it. And the reason why that is because we're not progressing as a football club over the last few years. So there's always that speculation of him leaving. Every manager that walks in here and tries their very best walks out looking like a dinosaur, finished, outdated, when in reality, they walk out and they tend to go on and win in on their next job. It's only at Tottenham they tend to not to be able to win. And it's a cycle that's been going on for the last 3 years. And quite frankly, I'm fed up with it and bored of it. I'm absolutely bored of it. Things need to start happening around this club a lot quicker. Look, I wanted to say this evening, I don't think, I get the anger with Antonio Conte. I get some people don't like him, his style of football and everything else. And 100% I get that. But what I want to say to people is, you can't let all of your frustrations and all your problems at Tottenham Hotspur be put on Antonio Conte and let him walk away with them. Because the reality is, so a lot of them problems are still going to be here post Antonio Conte. And I think we have to be a lot smarter than making Conte take the blame for absolutely everything. There's so much that was a problem when he walked in here that hasn't been fixed. And look, I'm also at the point now where Daniel Levy's job also needs to be reviewed this summer. It's got to be, especially if he interviews Pochettino and brings him back, because then the last 3 years that the Spurs fans have had to suffer through, it's been a long grind to follow this football club, has been one big expensive waste of time and a waste of money. And there's been no progression whatsoever. And I'm starting to question, is he out of his depth? Does he know where to start to crawl us back out of this? Me personally, what we need to do now is look, I'm not even going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and defend Conte tonight. Nothing like that. The reality is, Conte is gone, whether it's over the international break or at the end of the season, or if these players bottle top 4, he'll be gone. But the next manager, we have to sit there and build something, and we have to give it time. We've got to give it more than 2 seasons, because if anyone goes and looks back, since Pochettino, we haven't had one manager in the dugout for a whole season, for one complete season. Not one. Jose came in, finished off Pochettino's season, went into the next season, was sacked. Ryan Mason finished out his season. Last season, we went into the season with Nuno. Then Conte came in, finished out. Now this season, we're looking to get rid of a manager before the season's even out. That can't continue. I hear people saying, sack him, get a new manager bounce. Well and good, but how long are we going to rely on that for?
Right.
Southampton do that, relying to beat relegation. Watford down in the Championship have been doing that for years, and they've ultimately ended up paying the price. And it's not a road we want to go down. So the next manager has to be right, especially with Kane and Son going into their 30s. You have to have a solid platform in place and a solid team and a way of playing and everything else in place before they go, so that you minimize the effect of them leaving, whether it's through them going on to better things or whether it's through them retiring. You've got to get this next year or two at Tottenham Hotspur is absolutely crucial. And I agree.
I
agree.
It needs to be based around good, like some sort of attractive football, right? I would hope that most Tottenham fans, everyone's right about Conte's right about the impatience. A lot of people that say, be more, give the guy time, do the Arteta thing, whatever. I understand that narrative. But I would hope that most reasonable Tottenham fans would have a little bit more patience if the football philosophy of the manager was a little bit more of the old Spurs traditional style. If we were to pivot to another defensive manager after this one, that's a bigger brand name, a tier 1 name, but he plays another similar style to Conte or Mourinho, I think it'll be the same old thing. People will get pissed off too soon. If you pivot to even a younger manager who hasn't got the gravitas behind his history, but he plays good football, you would hope that reasonable Tottenham fans would get behind it and at least see that whilst the football might not be immediately successful, it can at least be immediately pleasing on the eye.
Just quickly talking about sensible football fans. What a lovely message from Benjamin. I've been called worse, so it's absolutely fine. Savva, you absolute cunt. Stop blaming Conte all the time and blame the true issues. How many times, should have been a capital H there, by the way, after the full stop. How many times of these weak-minded players have got managers sacked? Brilliant. Delete your channel, you deluded cunt. Right. Wonderful. I'm not sure if that was meant to hurt me. It doesn't. Let me just say there's 350 people in this channel right now. For once and for all, can I please put my point out there? Because I keep seeing that I only blame Conte, right? And I put all the blame on Conte. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I know you all know this in the chat. I hate the owners. I hate the manager. I hate the director of football. And I think our academy is crap. I'm not sure how much more I can clarify that I don't blame Conte for certain things. Let me elaborate.
Savva, people will hear what they want to. People think that I'm Levy in because I'm not massively Levy out. Like, it is what it is, bro.
I know. No, it's cool. But I keep hearing this, right? What I want to say is this. I keep hearing to people like that from people, not just about me, about other people as well, that if you don't like Conte, you must be Levy and ENIC in, right? First of all, two things can be true at once. I don't like either of them. Second of all, I don't blame Conte for not winning trophies at this football club. I don't think he's got the squad to do it. I don't think we should be winning trophies. I do blame Conte for the god-awful football and the way that we set up. That is on him. That is his style. That is his tactics. Is he a winner? Yes, he is a winner. Is he a great manager? Yes, he's a great manager. Is he a winner and a great manager for Tottenham Hotspur? No. Right? We are not set up like that. So please, can people stop this nonsense that I blame Conte for everything? I've said from day one, you all know this, there was no point the guy coming to the club, right? To your point, David, about the 2 years, I agree with you. We need a manager for longer than that. But the fact Antonio Conte signed an 18-month contract should have been the clue. That was the clue for me. He signed an 18-month contract for a reason. Rant over. Pete, let me come to you. Let's talk about that then. For me, I do think yesterday what that has done is kind of deflect. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done what he done or whatever, but it's deflected from yet another poor performance against a team that we should be beating, and we can't blame Levy and ENIC for not beating the team who are bottom of the table. The same way we can't blame them for not beating Sheffield United. What was yesterday poor, and who is that on?
That's on him, isn't it? And the players. There's so much blame at this club to go around. It's unbelievable. I don't think there's not one person you can put some blame on. But yesterday, if you're going to talk just about yesterday, that's the owners out of the equation. Not being funny, he's got more than enough tools there to beat Southampton, who won one home game in 2023, if I read that right. The last time they scored 3 goals was against us last year. They are shit and they're going down. And I didn't watch the whole game. I watched like the extended highlights. We weren't that good at all. And then when getting to a point of being 3-1 up, yet again, we sit back and wait for the inevitable. And then they just went, okay, we'll just attack. And then you will concede goals with our defence if you just sit back and allow attacks to come in willy-nilly. You know what I mean? Bear in mind, they had 2 makeshift centre-backs. We should have been keeping the pressure on the whole game. Throw Dan Juma on. Keep the pressure on at the top end of the pitch. But no, we just retreat. We take Porro off. We're putting on Emerson Royal, which is an advert for come and attack us down this side. Do you know what I mean? It's the same story over and over again. And it cannot be, well, this is players for 20 years and Eric Dyer's fault and all that. As much as I agree with all that in the long term, yesterday was about the manager and his tactics again, in my opinion, because it's always the same. Always the same.
I mean, yeah, look, go on, Dave.
You can't just put yesterday on the on Conte. How many times did them? But how many times did the players end up booting the ball away with zero composure whatsoever? Sloppy passes. Højbjerg near the end of the game had a 5-yard ball to Harry Kane. He overhit it and gave it straight back to Southampton. You can't just put everything on Antonio Conte. Even if he did set up in the second half the way he set up, right? The players are down to 1 game a week. When you set up that tight and the line between Harry Kane and your defence is 15 to 20 yards, there's supposed to be no gaps to play in. And as soon as they play into them gaps, it's a trap. You set in, you take the ball off them and you go on the attack. Our players stood there. You can't just put absolutely everything on Antonio Conte yesterday.
No one's putting everything on it.
We threw away a 3-3 against a 3-0 lead against West Ham under Jose Mourinho. You know, again, couldn't hold out.
But David, people keep doing this. People keep doing this, right? People keep looking at other results from years and years and years ago when it's a different team.
Yeah, it's a culture.
No, hang on, but it's different players, right? And I was told by everyone that Conte's job, like how many people have come into our channel, Kuva, always saying, he's changed the mindset. You know, he's come in and he's changed the ethos of these players. The thing for me, David, is this. If it happens every now and then, I turn around and go, yeah, this is all on the players. By the way, I think it's the players and the manager. But this is now, in the last 5 games, this is now Sheffield United away, Wolves away, right, who were bottom 4 when we played them, Milan at home, who are not a good, let's be really honest, beat Forest, and then drew with a team bottom of the league. Now, Go on.
I had this with you in the WhatsApp group yesterday. You know, you look back at a lot of our cup exits down the years since Pochettino as well. A lot of them have been away from home, and it stems under more managers. Zagreb away, Norwich away under Jose Mourinho in the FA Cup. Zagreb away under Jose Mourinho in the Europa League. We lost to Antwerp away in the Europa League under Jose Mourinho as well. I can go and get you some league stuff as well.
Okay, but hang on.
The thing is, at this club is a huge problem. And it's
okay. But both those 2 managers you mentioned there, this is what makes me laugh. When I keep hearing this from people, right? I keep hearing, oh, well, we lost to Colchester under a Poch. Yeah, but Poch also managed to get us to a League Cup final and the Champions League final. So people only mention the ones where we got knocked out. Jose Mourinho, all right, also managed to get us to a League Cup final. Conte gets knocked out by every small club he plays in the Cups.
And they're beating. And they're beating.
And they're beatings.
Let's not act like this didn't happen under Jose. We lost to smaller teams under Nuno and under Jose Mourinho. Let's not act like this is just an Antonio Conte problem. This is what I'm saying.
No one said that. But the others did get to a final. No, hang on, David. I'm looking at it balanced. You're just saying, look, it's happened with every other manager.
Yes, it has, and that's true. That is balanced.
Hang on.
Go back and looking at a repetitive team that continues to happen.
But David, that's not because Poch may have gone out to Colchester, right? Poch also got to the League Cup final, multiple FA Cup and League Cup semi-finals, and the Champions League final. So it wasn't always we went out to those teams. Jose got to a League Cup final, so we didn't always go out to those teams. Every single time Conte has played a lesser team in a cup, every time, Mura, Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, Forest, he hasn't been able to get past one of them.
And didn't score a goal. We didn't score a goal.
Yeah, we didn't score at Sheffield United. Didn't score at Forest.
We scored at Mura.
We can sit here and pretend it didn't happen under Jose Nuno all we want. At the end of the day, it's not doing any favours. It's overlooking something because we want a certain manager out. He's going anyway.
That's not what we're saying.
No, because you're dismissing that happened under Jose Nuno.
I'm not. That's not what I said, David. That's not what I said.
Open debate. We've got to understand that this has been a repetitive problem at the club before Antonio Conte got here. Away from going out of cup competitions early against smaller teams has been a longer issue than just.
But not always. No, that's not true.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
That's not. Hang on, that's not true.
That's why we bring him in to change it. That's why we bring him in to change it, and he's not done nothing.
Even if it is true, true. Okay, fine. But
it's not true.
Okay, Sav, but just for the sake of the argument, even if there is a culture of going out and doing away from home in Europe and all that stuff in competitions, and it goes back 2 or 3 managers. What is the? Are we saying that's Daniel Levy's fault, that he's created the culture? And if so, how? Like, what is the ultimate responsibility for this culture that apparently exists of us bottling it against small teams? And how, if it is Daniel Levy, which I'm guessing is what most people who would think it is would say, how has that happened? What is it that Daniel Levy has done or said that has allowed a group of players that are better and more talented than the opposition to constantly lose? How does that work?
For me, it's long-term recruitment problems, isn't it? Both on the pitch and off the pitch.
So the mentality of the players. So Tottenham has signed 70 players, 100 players under Daniel Levy's tenure, and are you saying that every one of those people has got some sort of
not every one of them, but there's enough there to sort of taint the rest of them, isn't there? It does spread like wildfire if you get a few bad eggs in. That's why the likes of Ndombele's out of the club at the moment. It's not good for other players. You try and address it, but if there's an underlying sort of tendency for this, a lack of urgency, if you like, a lack of importance in things,
I'm just not sure. I'm not sure how that's the owner's fault. I don't know how that's the owner's fault. He doesn't kick a ball
because
he's not in the changing room.
Long. I mean, it was interesting that. Did you see Lord Sugar's comments? He put out a tweet saying about the players and saying he saw this sort of apathy and the players, this culture amongst the players when he was in charge as well. So this has been going on for quite a while.
Yeah,
I just wonder if it's
So it's a Tottenham Hotspur thing. It's not an ownership thing. It goes back before.
Well, at some point, somebody's got to try and change something about it. And then if you've been there
a businessman who doesn't step in the dressing room. I just don't know how, because I hear that it's this. The arguments always put forward is when you can't figure out what's the responsibility, and you don't want to continue to blame the 12th manager in succession over 23 years. Even though I have so many problems with that whole argument in the first place, and maybe if it comes up later, we'll get to it. Ultimately, like, he's not kicking the ball. Like, maybe you need to get a sports psychologist or a hypnotist in or whatever, or something, right? Like, to get the voodoo out of the club, like a shaman or whatever that can come in and cleanse the club of any, whatever it is. But I don't understand how it's the owner's fault that a team of professional football players that are better than the other team they're playing against continuously lets them down, and somehow it's the owner's fault. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm looking at it from the fans' point of view. One thing about this club that I've always had is uncertainty. Yeah. If I'm getting as a fan, surely the players are going to be feeling the same sort of things.
But listen, Daniel Levy does not. I agree. I disagree with Sean, and I agree with him at the same time, because Daniel Levy never sets a target for a manager to win a trophy. A manager at this club can get knocked out of every cup and keep his job. The second he ain't getting top four, he's out of a job. So that shows the mentality from the top of the club. But however, on individual games, you cannot hold Daniel Levy. I don't think Daniel Levy says, right, do me a favour, go to Middlesbrough, don't bother turning up. Yeah, I can't see it. And since Conte has been here, we have gone out to every cup to a lesser team and not even scored a goal. And that cannot be.
Pete, this is what I was saying. Alex, I'll bring you in a second. This is what I was saying, right? Listen, I'm not saying that we have not gone out of cups down the years to lesser teams. I think every football club has gone out to lesser teams for cups. Otherwise, they would win every cup, and that's just not possible. But my point is this. Yes, Poch went out to Colchester, right? Yes, Poch went out to, was it Ghent or Genk? One of the two. We got knocked out in the Europa League. Yes, Jose got knocked out to Zagreb, right?
Without a striker, by the way. We had Dele Alli up front.
Yeah, hang on. Yes, those games happened. But we can't just say because that happened that they also didn't get to finals. Now, the point for me, this isn't about winning finals, by the way. I'm just saying, every time Conte comes up against a lesser team, every time he goes out, right? And we say, oh, this is what we do, but it's not. It's not every time that we've gone out before. And that was my point, David. Like, look,
since Pochettino, the majority of the cup competition since then, we have gone out early in some of the early rounds against lesser teams, and that's fact. We went out to Norwich in the FA Cup under Jose Mourinho. Yep. We played Middlesbrough away under Jose Mourinho. We were lucky to scrape a draw and end up having to bring them home to be able to beat them. It is a problem at Tottenham Hotspur before Antonio Conte.
Hang on, it was, but you've just used a game in which we won to cement your argument. That doesn't work. You can't say you just said Middlesbrough.
I said we went away to Middlesbrough, barely got the job done. We scraped by a draw and then had to take them home to beat them to advance to the next round.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that. But
we have a serious problem away from home in cup competitions.
Why, Dave? Why?
Look, for me, I think it comes to when you come up against these lesser teams, it's down to motivation. It's down to the wrong.
Isn't that what he's paid for? Correct. That's what he's paid for, right? Otherwise,
isn't
what
that
the hell?
Why he's a world-class manager?
Yeah, go. Look, you can pin it all on managers you want.
I'm not. No one is.
We're saying this is what the managers are paid for. So in effect, we are sort of pinning it on the managers. But what I'm saying is if it's a common team under multiple managers, it can't just be the managers, but also the players have to take responsibility. Yep. If I was even playing in the local Sunday league and we went out to a team that were a division below us in the cup, I'll be in that dressing room fucking fuming. I'll be absolutely ripping it up. I'll be throwing people around the place. It's a pride thing. If they don't have
those same players, Dave,
that's on them.
Those same players that go out and get smashed like they did. They dropped the ball on Saturday. They go out to all those teams that you've mentioned that we've been talking about. Those same players can go and turn up against Chelsea, turn up against West Ham, turn up against Manchester City, home and away, year in, year out.
Well, it's easier to get up for the big games. It's easy to get up for rivalries. There's no motivation.
Exactly. So if the players are capable of getting up for it, right, when there's no motivation needed, and they're capable of completely shitting themselves when there is motivation needed, what is the purpose of a manager? Because if in the case of Antonio Conte, to justify his £15 million a year salary, if all that he's there to do is to pick a team and to put a formation up, then ultimately we should have paid him for 1 week's work, got his little template of 3-4-3, and figured out that all he wants to ever do is play the same team, absent someone being unwell or unfit, and he'll pick whoever can fit in his place. He doesn't change anything in anything else that he does on the pitch. Everything is standard template. It's repetitive, it's cyclical, and it's boring for me. So if he's not getting paid 15 million pound for something else, surely it has to be to get the best out of the players. And if he's not doing it, and Poch isn't doing it, and Mourinho didn't do it, and Nuno didn't do it, then I agree with you. There's a massive problem. But I don't know how that lands. I don't know how that lands on the feet of the owners.
Listen, we've also got to understand the mentality of footballers has changed from years gone by, from times gone by. There's not as many people that want it as much anymore. Not as many winners that come through that have that desire, that hunger to win. Before you in football, it used to be paid well, but you used to have to earn it. You used to have to earn the top dollar, and if you wanted that lifestyle and luxury that come with it, you had to fucking earn it. Nowadays, you don't have to earn it. It doesn't matter whether you're out there against Man City or Sheffield United, you're still getting your wage. It doesn't.
It's not a problem with the other clubs, though, is it? It's not a problem at Brighton. They had absolutely no issues getting up for Grimsby today and batter Grimsby. It's not a problem there.
Our contracts are heavily weighted in bonuses for winning anyway and performance related. You get your basic at our club, but a lot of it is heavily weighted in bonuses. Like for most of the squad, you get Kane on 200 grand a week because he's that good, but most of them get more money when they perform better. There's always been performance related pay at Spurs. So if they can't out the money and the manager can't do it, then
can I just ask who's our last six? Who's our last six managers been? Our last six managers: Conte, Nuno, Jose, Poch. I'm not counting Mason. No. Full-time managers: Conte, Nuno, Jose, Poch,
AVB,
Sherwood.
Sherwood. Right, okay. How many of them got to finals?
Nuno weren't even around to play a cup game, was he?
No. All right, so Nuno didn't even see that through.
Mourinho got one. Yeah,
Jose got to one.
But he didn't get
Poch
to play it.
Poch got to a few.
A lot, yeah.
Right.
Sherwood didn't.
Sherwood wasn't here long enough, was he? I mean, Sherwood only took over at the back end of the season, didn't he?
9 months, I think. Sherwood
was about October, wasn't it? No, October, November.
My point is this. Listen, I think as well, I'd like to say this to people in the chat, just saying, I don't blame everything on Tottenham Hotspur and Conte, but for some reason, we're never allowed to criticise this manager.
We can criticise him, just criticise him fairly.
I am criticising him fairly. He does really shit against all the crap teams in the cups. That is,
it's been a problem at Tottenham since before Conte. So it's not really.
But it's not just
aim at Conte, but it's a problem that's happened before Conte.
But I've just proved to you when it doesn't, because those other managers have got us deep into those competitions, beating poorer teams. It's just it happens.
Out in early rounds of them competitions.
Right, Dave. The thing is,
hang on, Pete. Hang on. Sorry, but that goes to show they won some of those and they lost some of those. Conte, it's every time, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say.
It's every time with him. You look, I don't mind. Like when Spurs get knocked out of a cup competition, if we're going out to the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, you can say, okay, cool, these are top clubs that win things. They've got great players. You can accept it, right? If we go out to Nottingham Forest in the League Cup and you go, okay, well, that's disappointing. Then when he goes and does it to Sheffield United in the same season, playing both of those clubs, B teams, right? We played a championship team and they made 8 changes due to injury and illness. And then people go, yeah, but that's just how we've been for years. I'm sorry. I can't accept that, because then 2 weeks later or 1 week later, 2 weeks earlier, we beat Man City 1-0. We then beat Chelsea. We then beat West Ham. Yeah, we've beaten. I don't understand it. So I blame him for the things that he is accountable for. The football, the style of football, which is why a lot of people don't rate him or like him. Sorry. Yeah.
While it's happened before with the other managers, it's happened every time with Conte. Every cup game he's played at our club, he's gone out to a much worse team. With the law of averages, if he went out to one and then got better with the others, then you say fair enough. That happens now and again, but it's happened every time with him. Every cup game he's played.
Well, it happened the majority of the time under Jose Mourinho. It got us to one cup final. We went out to Zagreb. We were top of the league. We threw that away. We went out to Norwich in the FA Cup. It was one cup final.
Law of averages. At the time he was there, the same period of time, Dave. The same period of time he was there. They've been there both the same period of time, and Jose got to a cup final and was top of the league, and yet with worse squad and less investment,
much worse squad,
with a better squad, no cup finals, gone out to every cup in the first round pretty much, and we've got nothing. So at least
all I'm saying is
they leveled out a bit. Conte's been consistently every time. Mourinho one up, down. I get that, but Conte's every one. He's gone out.
This isn't Conte v Jose, by the way. My point is this: you're going to go out of cup competitions, of course. Otherwise, we'd win everything. But the thing is, it's the regularity in which Conte does this. And all I want fans to be consistent. Because David, my problem with this is right. So this isn't you. My problem with this is, and something Perchie said earlier on your show, Sean, and Alex, I'm going to bring you in here. If what we are seeing now, right, the results we're seeing now, the getting knocked out of these competitions. If it was Jose, if it was AVB, if it was Sherwood, Nuno, Ramos, right, they would have been crucified. They would have been absolutely crucified. They're crap. Get them out. They've got to leave. With Conte, everyone's taken the other side now that this guy literally seems to be, if you dare criticize him, you're called out for criticizing him.
No.
Do I rate the owners? No. I have had plenty to say on the owners over the years. Everyone knows I don't want them here, but I can't blame the owners for things like yesterday being outplayed by a Southampton team that are bottom of the league.
I get it.
I can't put that on him.
What I'm saying is like I said at the start of the show, we can be angry at Conte and everything else we want, but we can't put stuff that has predated Conte on him and think it's going to change after he goes. We have gone out in early rounds of cup competitions against teams we should be beating that predates Conte. I have no problem people criticizing Conte, but let's criticize him fairly. Let's not put absolutely everything on this guy. And this is
I don't think everyone has.
We're not.
I don't think anyone has. This is the problem. We're not allowed to, this is the thing. If I get this with the Levy argument and the Conte argument, the Paratici argument, the player argument. Nowadays, if you say one thing, so for example, in this portion of the show, we're talking about Conte. When we talk about Paratici, people will go, "Oh my God, you can't blame Paratici for." No. I'm sharing blame around.
Pizza pie of blame. Everyone gets a slice. You get a slice.
There's a problem at Tottenham the last 3 years that we keep getting the same results. Many people said under Jose, sack him, get rid of him. Many managers will get better. Things will get better style of football. We brought in Nuno. It didn't happen. Then people said the same under Nuno. We brought in Conte. And it sort of hasn't happened either. So it's kind of like, I think where people are coming from, it's got to the point where even if people don't like Antonio Conte, people are stopping and going, hang on a minute. We can't keep putting everything on the manager.
I don't think everyone is. That's the thing. David, I keep hearing this.
Savva, hang on. There's many things being aimed at Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
Many things.
So there should be.
Put it all together. Many people, when you put it all together, he's taking the brunt and the burden of nearly everything that's happening at Tottenham.
Because that's what managers at football clubs do.
When in reality, he takes the smallest piece of pie. Everyone gets a piece of the pie.
Why? Why? Why does he take the smallest?
Time and we're not seeing any different, are we?
Hang on. Do you know what?
All the time.
But right, I hear the same things all the time.
We spent 200 million quid in 18 months, haven't we, under him?
Fair enough. Listen, I haven't changed the backline, Sean.
Listen,
he didn't ask for the back line to be changed, mate. We can only go with what he's saying.
He wanted Bastoni in here. Let's not pretend.
Yeah, but after Aston Villa,
after the characteristics of the defenders.
After the Aston Villa game in the January window, he was asked by a journalist after performing when Eric Dyer made 2 clangers of mistakes. They said, "Do you want new defenders in the window?" And he said, "No, we're good enough with what we have." And people then say, "Oh, he's never going to throw the players under the bus." Well, clearly he's very willing to throw the players under the fucking bus.
But hang on,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
No. You're not going to throw the players under the bus in the middle of a January transfer window when your heart's still in it. You're not going to do it. It's suicide. Now that he's done it. He's written his own debt now. So look, you know, we all understand football here. Let's not go down to kids like levels. There's a reason why he said that
kids like levels
in January, and there's a reason why he said what he said last night.
But this is what I mean again. He gets away with everything.
Juvenile, mate. Don't dismiss the point as being juvenile. That's disrespectful. All I'm saying
he gets away with everything.
He had the option. He had the arts. I mean, there's no doubt. Like anyone that thinks that he wasn't involved in transfer window discussions, both in January last year, in the summer, and in January this year. If you're someone that is not you personally, if anyone is of the mindset that Conte has had absolutely no involvement in any of the transfers, and that all these players are club signings, apart with the exception of Perisic, because no one can make that argument because they know that there's no way that Daniel Levy would pay up for a 32-year-old or whatever it is. Then I just don't get on board with that. Right, I think that when you listen, a lot of people in the community are very happy to also lend into hearsay when they're trying to make their arguments and trying to bring their debate points. Oh, I know someone in the club who said this. I know people that have told me that. You can't use hearsay in a debate as a cogent argument. But what you can do is take the words out of the horse's mouth and say, this is what he said. This is all we have to go on. And when he was asked whether he wanted defenders, he said he didn't. He said they were good enough. He's also the same guy who was pushing for Eric Dyer to get a new contract only a couple of months ago. Right, so I just don't think it's reasonable to dismiss it. Whilst we all agree that we need new defenders, everyone in the Tottenham community does. As far as he has been concerned, when he's been given the chance, with the exception of getting Bastoni, he wanted Bastoni. Bastoni didn't come. Bastoni didn't go anywhere else, by the way. He's still at the same club where he was. And maybe Longley came in as a stopgap in the ideal situation that maybe this time next year, i.e. this summer, we'll be able to make the Bastoni deal happen. But apart from that, you have to take him on his word. When he says he doesn't want a defender,
but you can't give him that promise about this summer if you don't know if he's going to be here this summer. We all say he's not a commitment manager because he signed an 18-month contract, and now we're saying, oh well, we could have promised him Bastoni this summer. You can't promise him something if he's not tied down to a contract. The reality is he asked for a defender in here this summer, and he didn't get the one he wanted.
Hang on. Yeah, but hang on. Let's break this down. Sorry, David. Let's break this down. Right. For me, are we saying, right, that of all the money we've spent, this is where I just don't get it. Mm-hmm. We've spent since he's been here, 200 million, something like that, right? You're telling me in all of this, him, Paratici and Levy haven't sat down as a collective, by the way, because I blame all of them. Just to make sure everyone understands this, I blame all of them. You're telling me that at no point he said, look, do you know what? I don't need, just for example, I don't need Richarlison at 60 million. I want 2 centre-backs of 30 million each, or I need a 50 million pound centre-back, right? So we're saying that Conte has gone to them and said, I need this defender, or I need a centre-back, and they've just said no. Because all of this, we truly believe that they've said, you can have every other position you want on the pitch, but we're not buying a centre-back.
Well, I mean, under Jose Mourinho, he asked for a centre-back, he wanted Kim Min-jae and others, and we end up bringing in Joe Rodon. So he wanted Bastoni. We bring in Clement Langley on loan. So look, at the end of the day. But
David, is Bastoni realistic?
Savva, ask yourself this question: why have Tottenham changed tack from Pochettino to 3 defensive managers on the bounce?
Don't know.
It's easier to hire and fire. And cheaper to hire and fire 3 managers, pay their wages, and when you sack them, pay them off, than it is to go out and actually address a centre-back issue with world-class centre-backs.
But sorry, listen, Alex, I'm going to bring you in right off this point. Apologies, mate. Sorry. And everyone, please, there's 415 of you and only 100 likes. Smash the like. Thank you to the 3 people that just subscribed on the road to 4K. So if anyone is in the chat and hasn't subscribed, please do. Got a massive giveaway when we get to 4K. So we're just 275 away from that. But I don't get this, right? All I heard in the summer was Conte wanted Bastoni, Vardial, right? They're the 2 that he wanted. and that if he couldn't get them, he would wait until this summer, right? Let's break down how ridiculous that is. First and foremost, why would Bastoni and Vardiel come to Tottenham, right? If they're the only two centre-backs he wanted, why are they the only two centre-backs that he wanted? There are hundreds and thousands of centre-backs across the world that we could go and scout that are good players. Secondly, who would ever turn around and go, okay, if I can't have those two, I don't want anyone, I'll wait till next year. I don't understand why they just wouldn't allow him to buy a centre-back. This doesn't make sense to me. I just can't.
Who was available, though? You know, I take the point that Dave makes that, and I take your point as well, Sav.
Sven Botman.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah.
40 million to Newcastle, right? Sven Botman.
Good argument.
You're telling me you can't go and buy a Tomori, right? Who was phenomenal against us, by the way, at White Hart Lane the other night.
I like Sven Botman in the summer.
Tomori, players like Joachim Anderson, right? There are centre backs all over the world, but
so your argument is that Conte's saying, if you can't get me Bastoni and Gvardiol, then I'll wait. And the club is saying, okay, well, we'll get you a stopgap in Longley or whatever. We'll get you the best stopgap we can get until we can try and get him next season. And that's what you think that was the situation. Because that might be, none of us know what happens in these meetings, do we? Right? But you are right. There were other centre backs available. Conte asked for Bastoni, couldn't get Bastoni, and so there must have been a secondary part of that conversation. So if you can't get Bastoni, what do we do? Do you go and get an Anderson?
Right.
Do you go and get Botman, or do you go and loan a Longley because you don't want the bridesmaid unless you can get the bride? I'll wait for the bride, essentially.
So Alex, let me bring you in here, mate. The whole Bastoni thing for me is killing all this, right? All summer it was the Spurs want Bastoni, but it became very clear very early on that the player did not want to leave, right? I think he said in as many words, him and his agent, that they were happy at Inter and they weren't going to leave. That left us the rest of the summer to go and buy centre-backs, right? And we ended up with Longley on loan. Is this a case of we're happy to buy him wing backs, centre mids, forwards, but we just don't want to get him a centre back? Or is it him being too picky?
I think the whole situation is, and I think it's quite clear, Conte's just not for our club, Savva. Let's be honest here. Absolutely spot on it. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest here. Like, you know, Daniel Levy's at fault for what he's brought in, okay, the last how many years? Yeah, and that's the only thing I'm going to say about Daniel Levy, because I'm sick of talking about him now. Because every single stream I'll talk about Daniel Levy, we'll not talk about the football. Yeah. The fault is, why is Paratici still at our club? Why is Paratici still at our club? I need to ask that question because I don't know what he's doing here, to be honest with you. And I don't care what he's done in the past. I don't care if he's made some good signings or anything like that. As far as I'm concerned, he's no good to me. He's no good to anybody. And that's it. I think he should be out the door. He doesn't play good football. He doesn't believe in it. And that's it. Okay, he's a hype job and that's it. And they should be done out of this club and that's it. And I don't blame Conte for what he's doing at the moment in terms of the strategy, because at the end of the day, he's a winner and he's won like that. The point being, why employ Conte in the first place? Yeah, if we didn't like him in the first place, yeah, we brought him in to appease the fans, like we did with Jose Mourinho. Yeah, we've done it so many times. Yeah, and like I said before, and I know my boy. Kuba, because I love Kuba. I fucking love Kuba, yeah. Sorry for swearing, yeah. But I listened to Jack's stream, yeah, and he said something quite spot on, yeah. Right? We make excuses for this club, yeah, because when you got teams like Seville, yeah, you got teams like Brighton, yeah, when you got teams like Leicester, yeah, I'm sorry, it's embarrassing, yeah. I don't care. The fact is, Conte did the best thing that he did. He did the right thing, yeah? Right? Whatever you believe in, what you believe in, yeah? He did what he did because at the end of the day, he wants to win, yeah? So whatever anybody's having a go at anybody else saying, oh, we should not done it, well, the fact is, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming because he's a winner, yeah? And if he doesn't win, he gets frustrated and then you get what you get there. You know what I mean? Now, it's a situation where we need to let him go because it's not working out, and that's it, and we move on. The problem I have with this club at the moment, what is the choice of what we're going to do identity-wise? Yeah?
I agree.
Clearly, right, and people say to me, "Oh, we got to back the next manager." If it's Thomas Tuchel, I ain't backing it. I ain't backing that, bro. Yeah. If it's defensive manager, I ain't backing it. Yeah. I'm so fed up of seeing defensive football. Yeah. I feel so that listen, the players are idiots. Yeah, because they're the same players that threw Pochettino under the bus. And now what's happened now recently? Yeah, what's happened recently? Oh, they want Poch back now. Really? The person that you threw under the bus, and now you want Poch back?
Look,
you dickheads.
It wouldn't surprise me.
No. Let Mr. The main event speaking, David. Let the main event make himself known. Yeah, because
it's been at least 8 minutes since we've heard.
That's how it goes. No, well, you had your 20 minutes of fame, Sean. So
no, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
This is the point I'm making. This is the point I'm making. Until this club gets back to the identity of what Bill Nicholson was and what Keith Birkinshaw was, okay, whether or not you believe in that sort of football or not, but playing good football and understanding what we know as a good club and what we do from the top and bottom, we're not going nowhere, and that's it. And I will say this as well, yeah. I don't even know why I'm repeating it, because I'm like repeating it like I always do, like all the time. Kane, you need to leave, bruv. You need to leave. Because I'm fed up with fans telling me, oh, we need to keep Kane hostage. We need to keep Kane hostage. I'm sorry, you're not winning trophies at Tottenham. Yeah, you're not winning trophies at Tottenham when Daniel Levy doesn't have an identity, and that's it. And that's all I need to say. And if you don't know, get to know. We rebranded Mr. Box Office TV and it's THC talking the truth again. And that's it. And back to you, Savva. I'm done.
Right, just quickly, let me read out a few super chats. Let me read out some super chats, and then I want to address. First of all, United Red Army. When you say Savva, you're being a bit negative. I think he's talking about when I said why would Bastoni and Vardiel join. Right, I'm not sure how much clearer I can make this to people. If Vardiel goes on the market available, he's the hottest property in Europe for a centre-back at the moment. Would we agree on that? He's the one centre-back being talked about by everyone, and that most pundits agree is going to be world-class.
Yeah.
The moment that boy goes on the market, if I'm being negative, cool, but why is he joining Tottenham? Why is he not joining Man City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man United, Chelsea? Why is he joining Tottenham?
Why would we go for somebody like that when we can unearth the next Joe Rodon?
Well, no, but hang on, Kova, look. My point on this is, even if we matched the fee, which is a release clause of £95 million, how much are we going to pay in salary compared to those clubs I just mentioned? Are we going to pay him $400,000-500,000 a week like those clubs will?
Never.
We're not going to. So I'm trying to be realistic with this. So I've got some super chats, and then Sky Sports News have just broken a story. So if the super chats, and by the way, where did I see this? So I loves music. Sorry, yeah, thank you very much. I've already done that once. If we can't defend our front three, should bury teams. Rootsy Pop, big up, always in the chat. Said big up the panel. I think Spurs fans are also in meltdown this season because Arsenal are 8 points good at the top. They play so good every week. Doesn't help for sure.
Apart from against another manager's side who's got a worse team than us, who can play 3-4-3 better than Tottenham can in Sporting on Thursday night.
I agree. THFC till I die. Big up whoever is this Dermot? Is this from Dermot's account? Big up Dermot. I said big up Savva on the panel. Could be worse. We could have Stephen Kenny in charge. Dave will get this. I just want my Spurs back. Listen, I think we all do. There's a couple of other chats. By the way, John Kelleher saying we were in control yesterday to the last 15. We were not outplayed. Don't talk shit. We had less possession. We had less shots. We had less shots on target, less passes, less attacking chances. So how exactly were we in control?
Forster made 4 stops. Their goalkeeper didn't have to save anything. What were we in control of? Because it wasn't the football.
They had 3.1 XG to our 1.7. Sab, I know how much you love that.
Sean, right. Everybody say goodnight to Sean. He's leaving. And just quickly, I just want to bring this up. So this has just come through on my phone. So I just found it on. Let's have a look. I've just found it on.
Conte gone?
No, I'd be a lot happier if that was the case. So look, for all these people that are saying that Antonio Conte has dug Levy out, yeah, he's stood up to them. He's got balls. This guy's got a backbone. Well, apparently not. So apparently he's actually told them, no, It wasn't about you.
100%.
And this article shows that, right? That Antonio Conte has clarified to the Tottenham board that his furious outburst was aimed at the players and not the owner. He also appeared to attack the club's ownership, but it's understood Conte's clarification.
It didn't require a clarification. If you actually, it was just the way that Twitter was clipped. All those quotes were clipped when he said 20 years with this owner and nothing. Why? And question mark. But then in the same sentence, he followed on to say, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I haven't got it in front of me. He said, you, i.e. the journalists, always blame the club or the manager. Why never the players? Something to that end, right? So it was just the way it was clipped by aggregators and by everybody on Twitter. Everyone sent it around. Then all the Levy out went, yes, we're finally going after Daniel Levy. And all the Conte out were saying, that's outrageous. Get him out of the club. But in reality, the truth was in the detail. You just had to watch the entire thing, or you'd hope that some reasonable journalist would actually show the full meat of the sandwich.
They do this in politics all the time, don't they?
Of course.
It's just to get the interest going, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Listen, sorry. Yeah, good debate. We're all friends here, by the way, everyone. We're all friends here.
By the way, Savva, yeah, I am very nervous about the summer. I have to be honest. I'm very, very nervous about the summer because I just feel.
Well, you're a Spurs fan. I would expect you to be very nervous every summer. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm very nervous because when you talk about the players on loan. We haven't got a manager, and they're not going to decide until the summer, aren't they? Because they're so indecisive. It's unbelievable. It's like indecisive about who they want as a girlfriend. You know what I mean? No disrespect to any lady or anything like that. And big up to the mothers, by the way, for Mother's Day. But yeah, it's just like I said. It's just I'm just very, very nervous, and I do feel sorry for the young players. I do really, and I know I made this point before, but I feel very sorry for the young players because I don't know whether they're coming or going. I'm talking about Skip, and I'm talking about Sarr. And there's others as well, Tanganga. I know Tanganga's not good enough at the moment, but going
ideally, never mind about coming.
Yeah, I just feel sorry for them because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how they're going to play next season. They don't know where they're going, and the development is still, and that's it. And I think this is a concern. This is a concern for the future for me, and I just think at the moment. There's no plan of what we're going to do. You know what I mean? And I think that's the frustrating part for me because you look at. I know I keep on referring back to them, but when you see what Brighton are doing at the moment, you see them. You know, when you see players playing like they're free and they're happy, and the whole club look refreshing at the moment. You don't look at Tottenham and refreshed at the moment. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's like Netflix and chill watching Tottenham now because it's like you know what's going to happen. You know, on the pitch. You know, and that's it really. But I just feel at the moment the summer is a very much concern for me at the moment, and that for me will show me where we're going to move forward next season because I think we're going to be. I don't know where we're going to be next season, to be honest with you.
I agree. I think next season we definitely. I think the next manager appointment will be an attacking manager because when I look at the squad, I think defense and especially centre backs and a new number one. I think you can give the next manager that platform. And I just wonder, is that why the club employed 3 defensive managers since Pochettino? Because they knew this massive rebuild was coming. So they went after 2 of the very best defensive managers in the world to try and keep that defense together, or keep as many clean sheets as they can. Start filling in around the frame of the rest of the squad. And now looks like Conte's coming to an end. I do believe that the next manager will be an attacking manager, as long as they buy centre-backs and a goalkeeper to be able for his system to work going forward. And I wonder was bringing in a defensive manager sort of to try and keep us as high up as possible. Why they sort of fill out the squad and start to rebuild it.
Can I just say, for me, and I don't know what everyone else thinks, for me, I don't think it's that calculated. I think if you look at it, I think both times that we've brought in the win now managers, if we're going to call them that. And by the way, big up to Kuva as well, because Kuva is one of many, like myself. I'll chuck myself in there as well, give myself a little big up. That called this from the beginning. It was never going to work with Antonio Conte, and we're watching it unravel now. Whether that's all on Daniel Levy, whether that's Conte, whether that's Paratici, it is unraveling. How I think Kuva certainly. This is what we said would happen. The match doesn't work. One of them wants to win right now and needs top players that won't join Tottenham even if we go for them. Yeah. The other hasn't got the desire to go and try and get those top players, even though they probably wouldn't join. What I think Conte was brought in as a marriage of convenience, as I've said many times, to stop the hate after the mess with Nuno. And Jose was seen as, hang on, I've just sacked a fan favourite in Pochettino. I can't now bring in an unknown. I've got to bring in someone that has got the wow, the pizzazz, and love him, hate him. That is Jose Mourinho. So for me,
because Levy thought all the squad needed was a bit of different, someone to get them over the line, and then they'll win stuff. But they had already gone by then, and that's where he got it wrong. He didn't want to invest in the players.
Mm-hmm.
The
whole thing's a mess.
You always go back to this same argument about, I want to see that committee of ex-players in there making the appointments for not necessarily the signings. That can be the director of football, but all the staff, the manager, the director of football. Just get people in that know the club, know what the fans are like, know what the club's all about, their history. It gets swept under the carpet. Oh, we had this illustrious history. Oh, you're living in the old times, Grandad. No, it's what defines the club. What is the club without its history?
Heritage.
On a bloody white top for no reason.
Heritage, Kuva.
Yeah, exactly, heritage. And if we just did that, Levy could actually do something with this club. That's what's been so bloody frustrating for 20 years, is we never have that. It's always him doing what he thinks is best, and it fails time after time after time. This way, that way, new manager in, new style in, then he'll get a buzzword or a manager's name comes up that, oh yeah, I've heard of this one, therefore let's get him. There's nobody saying, look, we've got an attack-based squad here. It's no good getting a defensive manager in because he's not going to be able to use this lot. There's nobody giving him that advice. If somebody could just take that responsibility away from him and just say, look, you can just do the business side of the club and physically put up a wall if you have to. Just have one of those little bank deposit things. Like if you need some money, you'll just post it through the wall. And manager and the director of football, yeah, thank you very much. There's the budget for this summer. But it isn't. It's always interference. It's always like micromanagement things from Levy himself. Club transfers. Why did we sign players like Rodon and Gedson Fernandez on loan? So many of these signings we make are absolutely baffling. It's not even club signings for doing what? It's not for a football. It's just random players that they think you might get a profit off.
Kuva, I agree.
I got to jump off. Sorry, Alex. I got to jump, guys. Got to jump off.
Oh, mate, take care.
Kuva, we brought him in because we wanted to play attacking football with a defensive manager. Basically, that was it, right? We didn't bring him in any sense whatsoever. Okay, because like it's just like, oh, he's a good talent, he's a good prospect. Oh, we can do something with him. And like Mourinho's not that sort of manager. You either work in his system or he doesn't, and that's it. You know, you either do what he wants or don't bother doing it at all, and that's it. And I just think at the moment, for me, I'm so switched off right now. It's unbelievable. Literally, I'm literally just watching it, and I'm just like, why am I getting so? I mean, I'm just Mr. Box Office. So I'm going to be animated. That's what I'm going to do every single time.
Alex, can I ask you a question?
Can
I ask you a question? Right, and I want to move on. I want to move on to the owners in a minute because I don't want this to just all be about Conte, but I do feel that these outbursts still takes away from some of the shambolic management we've seen from this manager. So earlier we talked about the cups, but even when you look now, that's Wolves away. Wolves away that Leeds put 4 past yesterday. We went there, couldn't score, even though they hadn't won in 3 games, were the lowest goal scorers in the Prem. We go there, can't score. Southampton yesterday. Southampton haven't scored 3 goals, Alex, for 13 months. 13 months Southampton have gone without scoring 3 goals in a game. Brentford went there midweek, 1-2-0. We go there, letting 3. I understand.
But just to add to that one, who was the last team they had scored 3 against before yesterday?
Tottenham.
9th of February, Tottenham Hotspur away at our ground.
Yeah, but this is my point, right? If we take this back from the bigger look, okay. every single time we lose or draw a game, we have to have this huge debate about owners. And we will talk about them in a minute, right? But can we please, just for a minute, guys, look at this in isolation? These games that we're not winning and should be winning, he's got to take blame for this, like any other manager at any other football club takes the blame.
100%.
Right? So this is my point, Alex. We can never just say, we're never allowed to say, Conte got that wrong without someone going, oh, but the owners didn't back him. It's like, oh.
Savva, you're absolutely spot on. Yeah. That's why I said I'm not going to talk about the ownership, because I'm sick and tired of people making excuses saying it's the ownership when we've lost against Sheffield United, Wolves, Middlesbrough last year, and Leicester, and the Conference League last year. You know what I mean? I'm fed up of it. I can't make excuses for it. We should have got to at least a semi-final of the FA Cup this season. Yeah, we should have at least got to the FA Cup finals. No excuses whatsoever. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not having an excuse, because we've beaten Manchester City when I wasn't that fascinated by that. We've beaten Chelsea. Everybody's jumping up and down about that. We're beating West Ham in the Premier League. Yeah, right. If we played like that against Sheffield United, we would have beaten them. Yeah. So if you can't do it, if you can do it in the Premier League game, yeah, where there's less pressure on you, why can you not do it against a Championship team in Sheffield United? Why can you not do it against a Nottingham Forest team, which was second team? Yeah, which we made two bits. We did make too much work out of them a couple of weeks ago, last week. Yeah, they played rubbish, yes, but it was easy work for us. Let's be honest here. You know what I mean? We've got a strike force of Harry Kane that we big up, Son, Dan Juma, Moira, Kulicheski, yeah, Richarlison. I'm sorry, it's excuses. So yeah, you're absolutely spot on, Savva. I'm not making excuses for him. That's why I'm saying Conte out, because at the end of the day, he's not gonna get the things that he wants. The players that he wants are never gonna come to the club, because players want to come to clubs that have got some heritage, got some prospect to winning trophies. You know what I mean? Not just get in Champions League for a day out. They want to actually do something in their careers. You know what I mean? And that's it. So for me, if he's not going to win now, I'm sorry, he has to go. He has to go, and we need to start moving on and start thinking about things as well. But also, I want Paratici gone as well. I'm done with him. I'm absolutely done with him. I'm sorry, I'm done with him. Yeah, he's at fault for Nuno. He's at fault for Gattuso. He's at fault for Conte. He's at fault for this stupid football, and he's at fault for our club being an absolute embarrassment as well. And I'm sorry, I don't care what signings he brought in last year, because he got lucky as well, and that's it. And I'm sorry, the truth is going to come again from Mr. Boxoff again, and that's it. And that to you, Sam, I'm done.
Well, let's talk about Paratici. Just before we do, guys and girls, thank you for the 3 or 4 people that just subscribed. Please, for all the 400 people, if you haven't subscribed, please click on the subscribe button. It really, really does help. Like the stream as well. We're just over 145 likes. Please smash that button. Guys, Paratici, where do we stand on this? Because the man has signed 17 players to this club, right? And again, this will probably wrap in with the owners here. Has Paratici done a good job? Has he gone after players and then Levy said no? Are these his players, i.e. Richarlison, Basuma? Where do we stand on Paratici? Kuva, let me start with you.
Massively overrated for me. I always would maintain this. When you're signing players, the judge on whether it's a good signing or not is whether he goes into the first team straight away. You don't worry about. I know Sean makes the point of going, "Oh, it's all in hindsight." No, right away at that summer window, for example, well, as players are coming in, I'm going, is he going to get into the first 11? It's like you hope they would, but they don't. You get players like Basuma. How many games before he even makes his debut? He's clearly not bought to improve the first 11. So Brian Hill. What kind of signing's that? It's nothing. It's like somebody with the strength of a damp Rizzler. He's got a little bit of skill about him, but he doesn't really do anything. He's never going to make it in the Premiership, as far as I'm concerned. Might prove me wrong one day, but I very much doubt it. Made no sense. Dan Juma. Well, what's he doing? clearly hasn't been bought to improve the first team. What is the point of this? Richarlison, although I bigged him up, I see a lot of properties, aspects about Richarlison's game I like. I like the aggression. I like the hard work. I like the running. I like the really getting at the opposition and keeping them on their toes. Goes with a high press. But we're not playing a high press. So what was the point in that? He's not going to replace Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, or Kulusevski if they're all on form. So he wasn't bought to improve the third team either. Another squad player. Longley is on loan. You can't build a team around somebody that's just here on loan and they're gone next season. Let's fill a gap. I mean, that's all it is. I'd argue the only signing we made that made total sense out of the lot was Forster, because we did need a backup goalkeeper. And by the way, I think Forster's doing really well for himself. Against Southampton,
I think he's been good.
He had a really good game, yeah. Let's hope that's not just because it's his old team. But yeah, you look at some of the other ones. Perisic, yeah, I think, to be fair, I got a bit excited about that because he's got the name, hasn't he? It's Perisic. We've seen how good he can be on international level. But what's arrived here clearly is not the same player. Conte said it himself earlier in the season. Again, when you put that together with the likes of the Basuma signings, the fact that Jed Spence doesn't get a kick and he's off on loan straight away. Udogie could be an interesting one, but that's for next season. Hasn't helped this season. We've done so little to improve that first team, bar Kulusevski and Bentancur. And let's face it, we weren't really sure how they'd do, were we? They weren't like signings that we'll go, wow, that's amazing. We're going to tear up with these two. We were just hoping they did well. Fortunately, they did for us. And I think that's probably those two that keeps Paratici's job at the moment.
So in summary, though, these signings, I mean, this is the one thing, depending on which side of the fence you sit on, depends on the answer here, right, for most fans. Are we blaming Paratici for these signings? Or again, is this Levy having the final say? Does Levy tell him to go out and buy Richarlison? Does he tell him to go out and buy Basuma? 17 players have come in under this guy, Kuva. Are they Paratici signings or are they Levy signings?
You tell me, mate. It's guesswork, isn't it? All I know is we have a history with our chairman of going for the cheaper option when it's available. So if you're getting a director of football that's bringing in players, I mean, Basuma was a bargain. We all thought that's the one that's probably been the biggest disappointment for me, because we all thought this is the game changer. This is the sort of midfielder general we were going to get. Hasn't worked out that way, so I can't really blame him for that one. I think it was a good signing until you know that Conte didn't really fancy him for the team, and then it's not that good a signing then, is it? It's just another player sitting on the bench until there's an injury. How much do you put on Paratici and how much do you put on Levy? Between the two of them, it's uninspiring. Always will be. Whenever we do get a director of football that's really inspiring, like a Paul Mitchell, gets put on gardening leave because he'll fall out with Levy, because Levy doesn't want to go big. He wants to do things tidily, make a little bit of money on some cheap players, a Cameron Carter-Vickers, a Jack Clark, them sort of players, Roden, hoping to make a couple of million off each of them while they don't really do anything. And it's just, we filled the squad out doing our bit. It's just bullshit. We're acting like a mid-table, sort of mid-sized club when we should be much bigger than that. We have got the resources to be a lot bigger than that. Just our decision-making is piss poor. And that definitely goes down to Levy, then to Paratici, then down to the manager, then down to the players. But at the end of the day, the reason I'm not going to lay all of the blame on the likes of Conte or Paratici alone is the same reason I don't blame Emerson Royale for being a crap player. He is what he is. He was brought to the club. That's not his fault. So
I agree.
You've got to look at the person that brings them all in. End of the day, it's the man at the top. He sets the tone. But you look at each of the pieces below, there's faults with all of them. Some of them bigger faults than others. For me, the biggest problem with all the employees at the moment is Paratici, because he's going to set the tone for the next few years if he stays as director of football. both signing of managers and players. And that worries me because the way we're playing football at the moment is unbearable. Well, the only reason I watched the Southampton game was just in the background because we had a stream Savva. Otherwise, I've missed the last 4 games. I just don't bother watching. There's no enjoyment in Spurs anymore. And for me, that is criminal. That's reason alone to get rid of manager, director of football, and bloody chairman. Bring back some bloody football for this club. I can't stand what I'm watching nowadays.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. I mean, David, obviously we've had conversations about Paratici before. I mean, it's so difficult to know, isn't it? Because I think what we all do, this is all football fans do this. We are all the same. We will take whatever information we hear and make it spin so that it fits our narrative, right? But I'd love to know if these are Paratici signings. I would love to know whether or not Paratici's gone to Levy and said, I've got Richarlison here at 60 million. Or whether or not Levy said, hang on, I've just had a phone call from Everton. We could do a good deal, go and get it done. What do you make with the Paratici-Levy relationship, who's in charge and all that kind of stuff?
Look, I was someone that was calling for someone like Paratici because I wanted him to take over all football-related activities. I think. Look, Daniel Levy's a good businessman, but I don't think he's got an iota when it comes to football, and that's why I wanted someone like Paratici in this store. Ultimately, you have to get him to sign the checks. It's the way it goes. Now, look, I don't think Paratici has done as bad a job as people make it out to be. I think when you look at in terms of Europa Conference League to Champions League, where we finished in the league to where we finished last season, and we're still in for a shout this season, whether that happens or not. So I don't think it's been as bad. I do think there's been an improvement. Has there been as dramatic of an improvement as I would like? No. And what I do put on the ask is why isn't that backline being improved? You know, I know people are sick of me going on about it, but it's a huge problem at Tottenham Hotspur, and we can't deny it. It's been a huge problem for years, and it has to be improved. If we want our away form to improve, if we want to be able to go deep into cup competitions, or even just get back to where we were underneath Pochettino, we need a defence similar to what Pochettino had. Good, solid players you can rely on to play the game defensively and offensively. We need to get back to that. This season, we've conceded double the amount of goals I think we conceded last season in the Premier League, and it's just not good enough. So it has to be improved, and that's one thing I do ask. Why hasn't this backline been improved? Because I can tell you now, you improve that backline, results start to improve. That brings confidence. Confidence brings performances. Performances usually brings goals.
So why hasn't it? Why hasn't it, David? Let me ask you that. I don't get it. He's been here.
Me personally,
Paratici's been here 4 windows. Paratici's had. Conte's had 3 of them. Why between them have they not gone right? We've got to sort out this backline. We can all see it. Why haven't they seen it?
I'll be honest. If I'm Daniel Levy, right, and you're sitting over Pochettino at the time, and you're looking at the league campaign, top 4 is his remit. We're conceding goals that we weren't conceding in seasons gone by, but we're still scoring goals. So he and Pochettino has already told him, and Daniel Levy can see he's in around the club every day, that the squad did need that rebuild. So if you're Daniel Levy, it would make sense to sack Pochettino, bring in some of the best defensive managers around world football, and do other areas that you believe need to be done before the centre backs. When in reality, you know, great. So you've always got to build from the back out. That's how you usually build your team. You keep clean sheets. You can get results with average forward players. You can get draws and stuff like that. And then you build up and you bring in the star quality further up. So it makes sense if I'm Daniel Levy over Pochettino to go the other route, bring in defensive managers because it's my weakest link, look for their expertise to try and get what they can out of them defensively, and do other areas. And that's why I'm saying I'm not surprised that we'll probably go down an attacking route next in terms of manager, bring in centre-backs and goalkeepers. But for me, it was to try and keep the club up in the position as high as possible, using these sort of managers, and to also maybe hide some of the stuff that's going on. But it's got to the point where you can't hide it anymore. Look, they're all football. Paratici's a football person, I'd like to think. I'd like to think he looks at that team and says, that backline needs improving. I'd like to think if Daniel Levy has 22 years experience in the job, he can look at that backline and say it needs to be improved. improved. I'd like to think that every manager that's walked in here has asked for that back line to be improved. But why it hasn't happened is because, to get in world-class centre-backs, and we need three of them, because I don't even want to keep any of these guys around as backups anymore. It's got to that point. Even we've seen it. You can play Romero and a couple of others in the league and whatever. As soon as you start bringing in these guys and backup in cup games and stuff like that, we can't defend. We get embarrassed. So for me, I'm not sure why it hasn't been done. I want to know why it hasn't been. I actually might write to the Sports Trust and ask them to put that in their next memo and see what answer I get. But it's got to the point.
I don't disagree with you.
To be done. I'm not sure why. They all have years of experience. The managers that come in here have 10 to 15 years experience. Daniel Levy has 22 years experience. Paratici has umpteen amount of years of experience. And for me, I think it costs too much to get exactly what we need. Because you look at some of the other players we've signed, Bentancur, Kulu, in and around 30, 40 million, some of them stuff like that. But to get real class centre halves, look what we played for Romero. He's not the finished article. If you want to get in other guys, it's more than that. And that's why, in my opinion, it hasn't been done, because it's cheaper to do all the other areas than actually address that issue and a goalkeeper. Because they're a rarity in football nowadays to get a world-class defender and a good, solid goalkeeper that can play these feet.
Look, I agree with you on most of it. I agree with you most of it. Pete, one thing I do want to challenge from what David just said is, one, do the defenders we bring in have to be world-class? Let's be really, really honest. There's not many world-class centre-backs out there. Why would they join Tottenham? For me, when we're saying it's too expensive to address that area, isn't that where it comes down to Paratici's scouting, Pete? Because there are good centre-backs that have gone in the last five years for very good fees. And other clubs seem to be able to pick them up. But for some reason, Conte, we're told, wants world-class centre-backs, which aren't realistic at Tottenham, are they?
No.
Or are they?
No. I slightly agree and disagree with a bit of Dave said as well. Firstly, I'll stay with that between Paratici, Levy, and Conte. For me, they're all an arse. They're just one big arse. You've got Conte's one cheek, Paratici's the other cheek, and Levy's the arsehole. Yeah, that's standard. That's why it's always between the three of them. What Dave was saying, would Levy think he'll fix the other areas? I'm still waiting for that to happen, because what area of the pitch have we fixed? We're still not great in midfield. We don't have a great midfielder. Our forward line is good at some point, but really, you take Kane away, the rest ain't nowhere near as good as what they need to be. The backups to them are crap. We ain't fixed nothing. So I disagree with that. But there's good players out there. You don't need world class all the time. We're not used to having world class players. Not even Man City have every centre back is world class. They're just
Toby and Jan and Kyle Walker, Danny Rose. They were world class at the time.
Yeah, but I'm on about I'm saying, but to have
not when we bought them. Not when we bought them though.
As a unit, like Man City's, all their centre backs are not world class, but they're just good quality. Their world class is too high a thing for us to compete in at the moment, especially where we are as a club. But there are good players that are better than what we've got, that cost less than what we paid for the shit ones we've got. But so for me, that's all about the scouting and about having the drive to do it. I mean, do I think Paratici's had complete carte blanche and be able to sign whoever he likes? No. Is Levy still involved? Yes, 100%. And that's part of the problem. As I've said, between the three of them, they just fucked the whole thing up, because we have spent more money than we have in years. And for me, the squad is no better, really, than where it's nowhere near this quality of squad we had when popped. And we only had a good, 12, 13 players then. We're still nowhere near the same quality as that. And we've spent tons of money in comparison to what we spent in those days. And what have we got for it? Nothing. We can't even sell the players we're buying. We have to loan them out because the European market's gone shit and we want too much money. But if no one's buying them in our league, it's just the whole thing is just a mess. And I don't know how it gets fixed until they all fuck off. I'll be honest, yeah. Conte, fuck off. Paratici, fuck off. Levy, fuck off. Everyone. Kitman can do one. Doris, the tea lady, she can sling her rook. Fucking all of them. Let's get rid of all of them. Start again.
Yeah,
that's the only way it gets sorted, because it's just a complete mess. I mean, I think Levy like as Kuba said, he's a businessman. For me, that's what he's more focused on now is the business side, because that's why this is going on the way it is now, where Conte can come out every week and just bait him, and he's not interested. He's like, I'm too busy looking at the next stadium deal. Worry about that. Do you know what I mean? Because how does this situation allow to happen? And I see other people saying as long as top four is there, as long as we're in the top four, it'll be all right. When you look at the games in hand other teams have, it's like this could change as soon as them games of hand get caught up in. And we say we don't do nothing in this international break. We limp on with Conte with what we're doing now. 1 minute is great, the next week is absolutely crap. Then them teams play them game in hands, and all of a sudden we're seventh. Oh fuck, we need to sack him now. We should have done that before and maybe stop this from happening. But between the three of them, they are just fucking useless. They are between them as a unit, as a team of people. Conte, Paratici, and Levy is a team. They're crap. They're shit. They're just no clue really. They're none of them on the same wavelength. One wants to go one direction, one wants to go the other direction, and the other one wants to go in the other direction. And just none of them have got on any sort of hymn sheet between them where they're all reading it and going, yeah, we'll read the same lines here. It's always, they all want something different.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, this goes back to your point, what you said earlier, and I completely agree with you. You're spot on. This club, look, we can talk Levy, we can talk Enoch, we can talk Conte, we can talk Paratici, we can talk scouts. I think until there's a plan, this is why I said at the time that I didn't think Conte was the right fit, because until there's a plan, it literally is just right now you have a go. Now you have a go. You have a go. And it's like, it's not joined up. Is it for the detriment of the club short term, but for the good of long term, Alex? Do we almost need for the next manager to come in? Because let's be honest, Conte's going. If he stays, I'll be amazed at this point. Is it the best thing in the long run that we actually do now get a manager in that realizes Kane and Son are no longer the long-term plan, right? That realizes that for the next 3-4 years, we need to build. You need to get Porro in the team week in, week out, Adoji, 2 young players, get Sarr into midfield, right? Get a couple of young forwards, get a couple of young centre-backs and actually build. Now, it might piss the fans off, Alex, because fans just care about fourth. But would something like that be better for the long term if we actually have an ethos and a plan to drive towards rather than just the next 18 months and the next 18 months?
Absolutely, 100%. Because I think everybody then knows what what we're looking forward. I think also, and again, I'm sorry to mention Daniel Levy because I want to try and keep away from Daniel Levy, right? Daniel Levy needs to say what the target is for the team the next 5 years, right? The next 5 years, and say what is the ultimate goal. Yeah. And someone needs to make that clear, because at the moment, I don't know what the goal is. Yeah. All I know is that fourth is our trophy.
Yeah.
Fourth is our trophy, because the fact is Pochettino got sacked, Mourinho got sacked, Nuno's got sacked, yeah, because he didn't get fourth. AVB didn't got sacked because he didn't get fourth. You know what I mean? So this is the point I'm making. I think it's clear that target is fourth. Yeah. So if it is fourth, tell the fans that. Tell the fans that. Yeah. And I think then fans will start to realise and make their own decisions whether they are going to be, they'll still support Tottenham, but whether they're on board with it at the moment, because I don't think we know what the actual goal is. I think what you're saying is what I want now, because at the moment, I think it is. At the moment, I can deal with the football if there's a trophy at the end of it, right?
Yeah. If there's a goal, if there's an end goal, right?
End goal, yeah. Like the end of a movie, you know what I mean, or end of a program. You want to hear the ending, you know what I mean. You want to get that ending, you know. But at the moment, I don't know what the ending is. All I'm seeing is the same old pattern like everywhere. And I think me and Savva, yourself, Savva, Kuva, I think David and even Pete as well, and I even think Sean as well, yeah. I think we've been so long in the tooth as a Tottenham fan that we're not stupid. We ain't stupid. We know where this is going. You know what I mean? I mean, I was the one that said it was the worst mistake sacking Pochettino. Yeah, because getting Mourinho in, because I sat there and thought, Why are you changing the manager from attacking manager to a defensive manager that is very toxic? Yeah, if he doesn't get what he wants, look what happened. You know what I mean? And we've been chasing success ever since then. The fact that we're even considering, and there's rumors about they want Poch back, just shows you how stupid we have been. You know what I mean? You know, there's just not been a plan in place whatsoever. And for me, at the moment, I think what we need to do is have a plan of what we've got to do. And that has to be now. We've got to have a chat with Prategy. Someone's got to have a chat with Prategy and say, sorry, mate, this ain't working, cut ties. Yeah. Do research right now. Look at who we need. This should have been done a long time ago, by the way. Yeah. And like get somebody that knows a way of doing a strategy, like what Newcastle are doing. Look what the Ajax model is. Look at the Brighton model. Look at Leicester's model. Look at Manchester United's model right now. You know what I mean? You know, this is what I'm saying. If you look at those sort of models, try and do those models, and try and keep to that mantle what we want as a club, and that's it. And if that comes up, I think I'll be more on board with that. But at the moment, I'm not happy with it, and that's it, and I'm done. So back to you, Savva.
So let me ask you, guys, do we? Everybody, please keep smashing the likes. If I can get 6 more subscribers between now and the end of the show in 20 minutes, that would be appreciated on my journey towards 4K. Please subscribe to Alex. Please subscribe to David's channel and to the Free Spurs Boys for Kuva and the Kang. Subscribe to all the Spurs channels. I think it's good. It's healthy to see different opinions. Guys, do we almost need to do an Arsenal? And what I mean by that is, do we need to bring in somebody who knows the club to manage it? Do we need to almost say, right, all of those players need to go? It's not going to happen in one window, but all of these players need to go. And we need to bring in young, hungry players like they did. Saliba, yeah? Thomas Partey wasn't young, but not old by any stretch of the imagination. Martinelli, bringing through Saka. Do we need to go down that route to get some form of identity? And would that ever fly with Levy, knowing that the 4th place trophy for him and the income it brings would be at risk?
I'm going to only say, sorry to interrupt everybody, so I'm going into it, but I'm only going to say what I feel, yeah? For me, I think we need to do what we need to do, what I said before, but also we need to look at the profile of the player as well, and whether they work well with other players as well. Because for me, when you look at the whole relationship with certain players, like Perisic and Son, for instance, yeah, there's a problem there. Straight away, there's a problem there, yeah? Right, so we brought in Perisic thinking that he's going to do a job for us, but then it's affecting Son. I'm not excusing Son because he's been playing rubbish, absolute rubbish, garbage, yeah? But this is the thing. When you're getting in players, are they going to work well with that player? Yeah, don't get lucky with a player and think, oh, now we've got Bentancur and Højbjerg, yeah? Oh, that works well now because, oh, we got lucky with that, yeah? There's no logic into it, you know what I mean? It's like Dembele and Wanyama, yeah? There was logic to that, yeah? When we had Vertonghen and he wasn't getting on with Coupier, whatever his name was, yeah? The defender. We thought, oh, no, let's get his teammate in, Alderweireld. Look, the best partnership going, yeah? You know what I mean? When we got Trippier in, we knew exactly what he was like. Look, we got the back 4 all sorted. You know what I mean? This is the thing. It's a logical way of getting signings in that actually makes sense, that will fit in and fit into the team ethos and the team as a whole. And that's it. Yeah. And I think the only way that's going to be done is not through Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy's has to think about it and bring someone in that knows how to fit that all together. Yeah. Like a director of football that knows how to fit that all together. Yeah. But that's for me will be a start of how we become a better team, because that's what Arsenal have got at the moment. They're all getting on with each other. They all get on with each other. They love playing with each other. You know what I mean? They lose a game and they're back winning the next game. And that's it, because they all love playing with each other. And that's it. And that's the start of a good team camaraderie. And that's it. And that's what I say. That's what I think is leads to success. And that's it for me.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. David or whoever.
I like Hoover's idea. I think there's got to be some sort of committee, I think, at this club of ex-players people don't really. I mean, you only got to listen to David Ginola the way he talks about the club for 5 minutes. You realise how much passion that man has for this club. Do you know what I mean? Ledley King, even players like Michael Dawson, haven't got to be like the best of the best. You know what I mean, players who were around the club for a long time, who know what it means to be at Spurs and what it's all about. Listen, it's not going to be about when we won all the trophies, because most of them ain't around anymore. But what it means to be at this club and how in some of the good days, you know what I mean? What it means to they know what the fans want. Yeah, and then that should be an input into what happens at this club, because they're on the level with us. They've been part of it. They've played for the fans. They know what the fans want. They engage with the fans. They get most things they say we all agree with. Yeah, and they've got a real passion for this club. For me to not have them people in some, like Ledley King opens up a Sainsbury's or he's sent to a youth club and all that. I mean, that's all great, but let's get these people on the football side doing something for them. Do you know what I mean? What's that?
You need one up in the board. You know, so whatever decisions they make, you can have a guy that already knows about the culture of the club, what the fans are like, you know, and give his input from that side.
Yeah, because whether we listen to or not is another thing. But I mean, from the board, all that from where I'm sitting, all of them, yeah, because there's quite a few of them. I mean, Levy takes the brunt of it, but there's a lot of them in there, Donna Cullen and all the rest of them that sort of make decisions and get away scot-free, no aggro whatsoever. So that's what I think about them. But yeah, get these people involved and listen to them, because they are the lifeblood of the club. They know what this club is all about. Yeah, long before Levy was here, and they'll be inputting long before after on. Use these people and refresh that as players come and go. Do you know what I mean? There's still players now that have been in the club recent times when they retire. Instead of people like Jan Vertonghen, do you know what I mean? He was at the club, nearly 10 years? Instead of letting him go to Ajax or something, get him involved at our club. Yeah, he was here 10 years. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? All these pros, get them involved. A lot of good clubs.
Would that work, Pete? Would you want alongside that a manager that's been here? Like, listen, I know people are going to laugh, but I'm just throwing it out there. Like, maybe next year, a Michael Carrick, for example, somebody that wants to build and grow. Would that be important? By the way, everyone, I'm not saying bring in Carrick. I'm just saying that.
I don't mind that, but then I think there's got to be some sort of reality check with us fans and the owners about it can't be them, right? Bring that coach in to do that, and then go, you have to get fourth, because it's just not going to happen. Yeah,
for sure. That was my point, right? That's what I asked at the beginning.
Yeah. No, I don't think it will, because that's always going to be the end result for Levy. They don't get, because he wants the financials. That's all he's interested in, is financials, not the football side. Yeah.
So how does this change? How does this change then? If that's the case, Pete, if we will not ever go down this route because top four is the be all and end all, top four is the trophy to them, not me, by the way, because if anyone clips that, anyone clips me say, yeah, top four is the be all and end all, going to get trouble. How does that change then, Pete? Because something's got to give, and we could talk about wanting the owners out, but realistically, we know it's not feasible. It's not happening.
Surely Levy's more achievable, right? Someone like Levy, you know, he's been in his role for how long? You know, if you can't get the owners out, you know, surely Daniel Levy's job has to be looked at, because I believe I think up until the Champions League final, I think a lot of the work that was done was good. But since that Champions League final, we've everything has fallen apart. You're talking about, you know, the actual scouting department. You know, I heard Robbie Keane talking about on a Liverpool podcast the other day that, you know, over here in America, we don't have many scouts just going out watching games, you know, identifying talent, stuff like that. Whereas I know Liverpool do in certain counties. They have just people that they're just employed just to go and watch games, send people over on trials, stuff like that. The youth system is not producing any sort of players with real sort of sell-on value. You know, it's like you look at Man City. How many players did they sell from their academy last season? They sold a lot of them to Southampton. I think they're generating 50, 60 million. Then you get that in, you know, it sort of pays for the next bunch coming through, but also gives you money to go into your transfer budget, right? You know, that needs to be sorted out. Like, that's an absolute mess. You look at the playing squad. We've had, since the Champions League final, we've had Steve Hitchen and Paratici. You know, two different directors of football, or people in charge of identifying players and bringing them in here. You've got to get one guy that, because we had Paul Mitchell, right? Paul Mitchell sort of was fed up with recommending players and the board just ignoring them and going after who they want. So there has to be a connect between that guy and the scouting department as well. Then you also have to have that connection with the manager. You have to have a manager that you're confident in. You say, right, we're going to bring you in for the next 4 years, regardless of what goes wrong. Now, I don't believe it has to be sort of a full reset job. I think when I look at where we're at right now, and this is only my belief, I think that back line is an absolute major issue. I think you can bring in the next manager, but it's got to be a manager that's willing to give you 4 or 5 years as well. And then when you bring in that manager, you bring in the defense straight away, new goalkeeper straight away. That should keep you competing somewhat for top 4 for the meantime. It should be enough to allow you to be able to go deeper in cups. And then you build on that in the next transfer window and you bring in more players instead of sitting there and going, okay, we're happy with what we got. We're going to start going after youngsters again. Then once you're competing in the Premier League and you're competing in cup competitions, then you start looking at your youth setup. You start getting players that have played the game in play. So I remember Spurs used to have the 2 Allen brothers involved in the academies and stuff like that. You don't have that anymore. The experience that these guys have and the knowledge they have to pass on is invaluable.
Tim Sherwood as well. Tim Sherwood did really well in the academy.
And you need people that have played at this club right throughout, all the way through the youth system, up at board level, the whole lot. You need people that have the DNA and the culture of this club and the club's best interest at heart. Even if you look at, there's a clear disconnect between the under-21s and the senior team. How many players that come through, we send out on loan, and they never get an opportunity in the first team, ever. Because it's blocked up with all the players out on loan. But the first thing that needs to happen is we need to develop a sort of rootless culture at this club when it comes to everything else, bar a manager. A manager, you've got to give him that time to be able to build it up, especially with the way we operate, right? Self-sustainable. They're not going to pull loads of money out their arse and put it there. So you have to accept that there's going to be some good league camping. The first 2 years, you're going to see a lot of inconsistencies. And the board have to accept that. They can't go top 4s off the bin now. You have to go. It can't be done. It has to be right that you sit here and back. And then you have to, but it all starts with someone building a football philosophy, a bit like what Ajax have from the roots all the way up to the senior team. And then that way you can allow some of your players to come through into the senior team. You can play them in cup games, well-versed in the Tottenham way and stuff like that. There's so much that needs to be done, but I believe you can do it with a manager that is good enough to be able to keep you competing in around top 4 and paper over cracks for another season. And then hopefully the season after that, you should be able to identify top world-class players, get them in here and just move on and challenge. I don't believe we have to accept 3-4 years or 2 years of falling further down the league and a lot more mediocrity. I believe if they got in a manager and straight away said at all costs, centre-back, goalkeeper, and acted serious, I believe
absolutely. It's almost like actually do something about the DNA of the club rather than just use it as a buzzword.
Create it. That's what I'm saying. It goes back to.
But just quickly, I forgot. The most importantly thing is that the club have to come out and tell the fans that this is going on. Their communication to fans for the last while is absolutely non-existent. They don't have anyone in there that is reading the room whatsoever. So they need to be able to communicate this with the fans so the fans know, okay, no point in sitting there moaning about the manager or the media whipping up stories, creating trouble, this, that, and the other. This is our guy, and that has to be the first thing they have to do.
As little as a 10-minute slot a week from, say, manager, director of football, head of recruitment, coaching, anything like that, just little bulletins from the people doing the things throughout the week. Fans are tuned into it. We could get so on board with the team then if you knew what's going on. But it's just silence, wall of silence all the time.
Do you know what, Poover? You're spot on. Why couldn't they hire someone that's got Spurs could have their own YouTube channel, like a week at Spurs, the last week at Spurs, right? And you get a 10-minute video comes out once a week. Here's a few of the things we've been doing this week. Our academy played in this game. Yeah, this academy player signed this. Or we've had scouts over in here, there, and why don't we do this?
And by the way, you have £50 off at the club shop.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. All we do get is the odd interview with Paratici, and it's basically like Tottenham State TV. It's fully scripted. I mean, who pays any attention to that? Nothing new there. I mean, I'd rather have Amazon floating around for another year, and then you've got a better idea what goes on then. But like Kuva said, and Dave said, like people like Robbie Keane, nowhere near the club. Have a lineage of history there, not just on the wall, but actually that runs through the club, walking through the club, where players like people like that who walk along, go like pick up on vibes. As Kuva said, you might get a few players fucking about and all that. Where, hang a minute, mate, you don't do that here. Yeah, it don't happen here. Yeah, and have a word with the manager saying, look, you might want to have a look at him, mate. He's a bit of a prick, that one, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But there's nothing in the club that dates back apart from history on the walls. Where let's have it running through the club. That could be the DNA. The DNA could be walking around the club. Our DNA isn't winning trophies. Let's have that right. So let's get over that. But the DNA has been playing good football, attacking football, and fans coming and join us and enjoying being at the club for a long time with the ups and downs. Yeah, Robbie Keane's, Ledley Kings, Dawson's, Ginolas, and there's people that go back, and then you just as people sort of get older, you keep refreshing it. So there's these players have a role to play at the club even after they've retired. You harness that knowledge and that experience that they've got of this club to help new managers, new players, and all that, rather than just opening Sainsbury's, going to the youth clubs and taking pictures everywhere. Actually have it on the football side, some involvement from these people, because they know more than Levy, they know more than Paratici of what it's been like to be at this club and what's required, because they see it. They've been there, they've done it. Why not use it?
Surely, Pete, they should understand the benefits of having someone like that, though. Look at Edu at Arsenal. The owners were Arsenal fans. Edu was able to come out and say, look, this is sort of what's going on. You got to understand, I play for Arsenal. I have Arsenal's best interests at heart. This, that, and the other. Just stick with it. And he was able to, over time, smooth that relationship out with the supporters. He was able to say, whatever your opinion is with Arteta, we're sticking by him. And then, stuff like that. Like, that's the benefits of it. United, they've always had their ex-players involved, at board level and stuff like that to keep the DNA, the roots, and what fans...
That's who we connect with. Yeah. We don't connect with Paratici or Levy if he wants to play. We connect with these players. We have a connection with them over time to keep it going.
Just quickly, so when I see points like this saying if you don't win anything, what's the point? Pretty football gets boring after a while. I think that we've got to start somewhere, though. Show me the lights. I think the difficulty is, and I'm speaking for Richard Savva here. I'm not speaking for anyone else on the panel. They will tell you if they agree with me at the end of me having this little chat. For me, I want us to build. I don't want us to be a hire and fire culture club, but I don't believe that starts with Conte. I don't believe that he was the guy that you die on the hill for. I don't believe he is the guy that's got the patience. We talk about our patience. I don't think he's the manager with the patience to do what is needed at Tottenham. I think he needs a bigger job. I think, to be honest, if I look at him, he looks like a guy that needs a little bit of time out from football, right? So for me, the next manager that comes in, the bare minimum I think some people want, show me lights, I can't speak for everyone, is we want to see some football. There's nothing wrong with wanting to watch good football, because Kuva and I have had this chat many a time. It's always thrown at us, oh, well, we didn't win anything playing good football. Yeah, but we're not winning anything not playing good football. So if the options are you're not going to win anything anyway, but I can watch some good football, yeah, at least let me watch some good football each week, right? And then you build towards the trophies. But I think what people have got to stop thinking, for me, and you guys might disagree, is that we must win something now. I don't think we're there. I genuinely don't think we are there. And every year that we talk about this year, we just give me a trophy. I don't think we're there. We need a reset for me. And I don't want to go on for too long, guys, but would you agree with that? Disagree?
I'm actually giving us a lot of thought yesterday about this. We're not too far away from being able to change things around. It's the key bits that need to be changed. This is one thing I've disagreed with you on a little bit, Savva, over the last year or so, and I'm more attuned to what David says on it as well. That is starting from the back. We need the new Jan Vertonghen. We need the new Toby.
I've never disagreed with that, Cooper. I've never disagreed with that.
No, it's that's the basis of it, because it was always playing in the opponent's half on the front foot, attacking football. Have that back line sorted out, capable of doing that.
I agree.
The rest is far easier to do. Kane and Sonny and Kulusevski will be fine on doing that, playing in the opponent's half. That's where our strength is. So if we get in a couple of really decent, or even just one good footballing centre back to partner Romero, and sit in front of him, be patient, and I'm going to say Basuma. Stick with Basuma, have him as the holding midfielder, and then just go out there and grab Maddison. Get back to playing a 4-2-3-1. Because next season we will have Adogi and Porro flying down the wings. That will work. You could even bring back Pochettino and do something with that. Now, I don't agree with going back to the previous manager, but you can certainly go to his style. So when people say something like a Luis Enrique, damn right, that'll do me perfect. Plenty of Dutch managers that believe in the same thing. Total football. It's all based on the same sort of style. The 3 solid defenders and the 7 fluid attacking sort of players to go with it. Now, we aren't that far away from being able to do that next season.
I agree.
I
agree.
It's just the start. See, this is the bit that's got me so bloody fuming mad with Levy over the years, is what happened with Pochettino. Because it was the first time where I thought, we're actually going forward here. We can do something here. And it was just left to fall away. That was criminal. The years since then are like a nuclear holocaust in terms of football.
I agree.
And for me, the bar, you set the bar as high as possible. For me, I won't tolerate anything less than great football and reigning trophies. You set the bar any lower than that, I'm not interested.
I hear you. I hear you. Look, guys, I do need to end the show, but listen. What I just want to say is, look, for me, I'm not sitting here blaming Conte for everything. I blame Daniel Levy for so much of this, for the way that the club is now. I think Paratici has to take some blame. I think the whole lot needs to take some blame. The academy, the way it's set up. How does it change? I don't know. I haven't got the answers, but I like what Kuva's just said there. Get a manager in that even plays a 4, have Adoji and Porro as flying fullbacks like Walker and Rose were, have a centre mid like, whether that's Bentancur or Basuma, that can drop in to protect the back 2 the way Wanyama and Dembele did, and let's go for it. But look, guys, thank you so much for your time. Some good debates there. All I know is that this time next week, well, actually, we might not have as much drama because obviously there's International Week going on, but it's never dull being a Spurs fan. And just remember, everyone in the chat, we are all Spurs fans, so everyone just wants the best. Guys, what I would say is please go over to Henry Wright TV and watch the Spurs Corner. If you do go into the chat, please just type in the word RAID, RAID. Henry will know exactly what that means. Please go and show some love and support. Please subscribe to everyone on this panel. Subscribe to myself, and we will see you again next week. Any last words from anyone?
And I'll be on 3 Spurs boys in about 20 minutes.
Perfect. And catch Kuva there.
Just quickly, I know you just want to end. I just think this is important. Just quickly, look, we're set for another period of turmoil, and it's going to be an extended period. You're talking about a few months from now, all the way up until next season starts. It is important that you don't blame what the best part of this fan club, which is the fans. That has to stop. You can't keep making everything the fans' problems. I don't want to see fans bickering at each other, calling each other out, this, that, and the other.
I agree.
The only way of getting through this together is by everyone coming on, having their say, and being respectful to one another. Let's learn from what happened over the last little while, and let's be better and move on in a way. The only way we can move forward is if everyone airs their opinions the right way, instead of going after each other and blaming each other and making everyone the problem. It doesn't solve anything. Let's not do it again.
Well said.
Yeah, listen, I completely agree with you, David. Look, we can all row and debate on the show, but I think it's important that once the fans start turning on each other, and realistically, these are all opinions. There's not really a lot we can do. Let's not turn on each other.
We all want the best for the club, everyone. And it doesn't matter what your opinion is. We all believe that's the right way to get success, and it all comes from a place of wanting the best for Tottenham Hotspur. And let's just keep that in the back of our minds over the next few months.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well said. Listen, thanks everyone. As I said, please go over to Henry. If you want to watch Couva with the Free Spurs boys, go and watch over there. Type the word raid. And much love. We'll see you soon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Come on, you Spurs.
Levy.